Well, good evening, church. Just sitting up late on a Friday night thinking about all the events of the day. Just wanted to send you a message to give you a little bit of encouragement. Don't know if you saw the press conference today that the president gave, but there was a word that kept coming up over and over again, and that word was hope. And he answered the question about like any leader would. He suggested that we continue to have hope in the process, that we have hope in the medications that have been used for other diseases in the past, that we continue to hope in the process of the CDC and other organizations that are working toward cranking out a vaccine in world record time. He answered the question from a worldly standpoint as best that he could. But here's the thing. People need more than that. Right now, you have a lot of people out there who have placed their hope in the tangible things of the world. And the tangible things of the world right now are completely and totally different than they've ever been. People have placed their hope in their job, their hope in their routine, their hope in the things that they've always counted on. And now those things are completely different. You see, right now, I believe that you have two kinds of people in the world. You have people who have hope, and you have those who are looking for hope. For those that are looking for hope, there's some good news. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, God says, I know the plans I have for you. And what that means is that God sees beyond the current situation. God sees the big picture. See, right now, people can only focus on the here and now, but God sees beyond the here and now. And God says, I know the plans that I have for you. That's a personal message to you and me. He knows the plans that He has for all of us. And then He goes on to say, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. God didn't create you to harm you. God created you to have a good life, to have a happy life, to have a joyful life. God has plans, and He knows those plans. He knows the plans that He has to prosper you and not to harm you. He goes on to say in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, plans to give you hope and a future. You see, right now we can't see, a lot of people can't see hope beyond the current situation. But again, God sees the big picture. He sees the plans that He has for you. And the plans that He has for you and for me is hope and a future. So if you're one of those folks that are looking for something to believe in, that you're looking for something to put your hope and your trust in, put your hope and trust in God and His plan for you. Now there's a second group of people out there. And those are folks who have hope. They have hope beyond the tangible. They have hope beyond the job and the schedule and the rise and fall of their 401k. They have hope in God. And Peter talks about these folks, talks about believers. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, he says, in your hearts set apart Christ as Lord. Now that lays the foundation for what he's about to say next. That is very important, that you and I set apart Christ as Lord. Lord over what? Lord over our schedule, Lord over our job, Lord over our retirement, Lord over all the things that all the people around us are struggling with right now. When we set apart Christ as Lord over all those things, it means that we take that off of our plate and we put it on God's plate and we let Him handle it. Why? Because of what He said in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. I have a plan for you. I have a plan for hope for you and a future, to prosper you and not to harm you. That's why you and I can set apart Christ as Lord, Lord over everything. And then Peter says when that happens, when we set apart Christ as Lord, he says, be prepared. He says, always be prepared to give the answer for those who ask you about the hope that you have. You see, in this world that we're in right now, you got one of two people. You got those that are looking for hope, and you have believers who are supposed to have hope. And when believers set apart Christ as Lord, we should be having people ask us about the hope that we have. What makes your attitude so different? You're not panicking. You're not hoarding at the grocery store. You're very calm and cool and hopeful about what's going on. Can you share with me what that's all about? We should be receiving those questions. And Peter says when we set apart Christ as Lord, people will ask us. Always be prepared to give the answer to those who ask you about the hope that you have. But he puts a disclaimer on it. And it's very important that we not miss the disclaimer that Peter puts upon that. He says, but do so with gentleness and respect. The reason why now is so important. Because when people ask us in a situation like right now, regarding the hope that we have that makes us different, because we have set apart Christ as Lord, it is very important that we be gentle and we be respectful. Because people have placed their hope in things that are completely turned upside down right now. They've placed their hope in their job. They've placed their hope in their retirement. They've placed their hope in their routine. They've placed their hope in things of the world. And they need to know that there's something bigger than the world. There's something bigger than those things. That God has a plan for them for hope and a future. And it's important that you and I, as believers, understand the importance of this time and how faith can make a difference not only in our life, but in the lives of others. Always be prepared to give the answer for the hope that you have. But be so gentle and be respectful in doing that. And God will bless us all. We're going to get through this. And maybe in the process, we can give some folks some hope along the way. God bless you.